Today we will discuss about the theory of profit. Profit is the income of the entrepreneur whose task is to organize the production process. The entrepreneur hires the other factors of production, that is land, labor and capital, and makes contracts about payments to these factors, that is rent to land, wage to labor and interest to capital. The entrepreneur gets total revenue through the sale of the product in the market. After getting the revenue, the entrepreneur makes fixed payments to other factors of production according to the contract. Total amount spent on other factors is the total cost of the entrepreneur. The difference between total revenue and the total cost is profit, which is the income of the entrepreneur. While incomes of all the other factors are fixed, income of the entrepreneur is not fixed. If the total revenue is greater than the total cost, profit is positive. On the other hand, if the total revenue is less than the total cost, profit is negative. There is uncertainty in production. All the other factors except the entrepreneur bear no uncertainty, and therefore they can earn fixed incomes. On the other hand, the entrepreneur bears uncertainty and therefore he earns residual income, which is not fixed and sometimes quite high. Now let us discuss about different theories of determination of profit. Firstly, we will discuss about the dynamic theory of profit by J.B. Clark. This theory is also known as the windfall theory of profits. The theory treats profits as a residue in price after deducting costs, and hence it is a residual theory of profit. Clark says that in a static world where the size of the population, the amount of capital, the quantity and quality of human wants, the methods of production, technical knowledge, organization of business, etc. remain the same, profits tend to disappear under the force of competition. If competition works in a frictionless manner, the surplus will vanish. Wherever there is a surplus, production will increase, bringing down the price. This is how the surplus will disappear. In a stationary state, everything is known and knowable. There is no risk and no uncertainty, and hence no profits, and entrepreneurs will only earn wages of management. However, we are not living in a stationary state. Our state is a dynamic world, and some changes are constantly taking place. The changing world offers limitless opportunities to the far-sighted, daring and clever entrepreneurs to make profits by turning the facts of the situation in their favor. Now, what are the criticisms of the dynamic theory? Professor Frank Knight has criticized the Clarkian theory of profit on the ground that it is wrong to attribute all profits to dynamic changes. According to him, there are certain changes which are of a recurring and calculable nature. The profits do not arise on those regular changes, but on those which are unforeseen and unpredictable. Only those changes which cannot be foreseen and which cannot be provided for in advance will yield profits and not others. Thus, it is the ignorance of the future or uncertainty and not necessarily change which, according to Knight, is the cause of profit. Now let us discuss about the uncertainty theory of profit by Professor Frank Knight. Uncertainty theory of profit hails that profit is a non-contractual residual accruing to the entrepreneur for his non-transferable function of bearing uninsurable future uncertainty. That is, profit is the price paid for bearing uninsurable uncertainty. The uncertainty is caused by the following factors: competitors' behavior, innovations, consumers' behavior such as fashions or tastes, government policy interventions, wage and labor policies, income of the people, movement of prices, technological changes, natural disturbances, etc. Just like the dynamic theory, uncertainty theory is also the residual and windfall theory of profit. According to Professor Knight, profit is the reward for uncertainty bearing and not of risk taking business. Now, what are the differences between risk and uncertainty? According to Knight, there are two kinds of risk which the entrepreneur has to bear. Some risks can be anticipated to a fair degree of accuracy. For example, the risk of death, accident, etc., and so can be insured in return for premium. These calculable and insurable risks are generally referred to as simply risks. The entrepreneur can include the payment made in the form of the premium in the total cost of production. So, such risks which can be calculated and insured should not entitle the entrepreneur to a profit. There are some risks which are unpredictable and unforeseen, and so they are non-insurable. As for example, a sudden fall in the demand for the product of an entrepreneur due to changes in fashions, tastes, etc. Entrepreneur may not be able to bear and cannot statistically measure such risks. Such unpredictable risks are called by Knight as uncertainty. Profits, according to Knight, are the reward of uncertainty bearing, which is not insurable, rather than risk taking, which is insurable. Now, what are the criticisms of uncertainty theory? Firstly, the total profit which an entrepreneur receives cannot be attributed solely to the element of uncertainty in a business. The entrepreneur also performs other functions such as coordinating, bargaining, and innovation in the business, etc. So, he must be paid for these services also. The theory does not consider the chances of monopoly profit. And lastly, the profit is not simply a reward for bearing uncertainty, but it is also paid to the entrepreneur due to the fact that the supply of entrepreneur is restricted. Now let us discuss about the innovation theory of profit. Innovation theory of profit by Joseph Schumpeter holds that profits are a residue and it is the cost of entrepreneurial ability used. The residual difference between the price and the costs is increased and hence profit increases due to reductions in the costs as a result of innovations such as introduction of new goods, differentiated goods, discovery of new sorts of raw materials, development of new markets, use of new organizational forms, etc. According to this theory, innovations result in a reduction in the prices of factors of production. Thus, the costs of production decreases, resulting in an increase in the difference between the price and the costs of production, that is the residual or profits. According to Joseph Schumpeter, the main function of the entrepreneur is to introduce innovations in the economy, and profits are a reward for him for his performance in this function. Innovations can be divided into three categories. First type of innovation are those which reduce the cost of production or change the production functions. As for example, introduction of a new machinery, new and cheaper technique or production process of production, utilization of a new source of raw material, a new and better method of organizing the farm, etc. All these will reduce the cost of production. The second type of innovation are those which increase the demand for the product or change the demand or increase the utility function. As for example, introduction of a new product, a new variety or design of the product, a new and superior method of advertisement, discovery of new markets, etc. All these would increase the demand for the product. In an innovation process, if an innovation process is a successful innovation, either cost falls below the prevailing price of the product, or the entrepreneur is able to increase the demand and sell more and at a better price than before. When an entrepreneur introduces a new innovation, he is at first in the monopoly position. He is at first in the monopoly position. For the new innovation is confined to him only, and therefore the entrepreneur makes large profits as a result of the monopoly position. However, profits caused by a particular innovation are only temporary and tend to be competed away as others also imitate and also adopt the innovation. After the law, if the law allows and the entrepreneur is able to retain his new innovation, for example, if the entrepreneur gets a new product patent, then he will continue to earn profit from this innovation lifelong. Now, what are the criticisms of innovation theory? Now, firstly, in a competitive economy, without any patent laws, the existing competitors or the new firms will soon adopt any successful innovation and profits would eventually be eliminated. However, these profits may exist for a considerable period of time because of the ignorance of the other firms of their existence, or because of the time required for the entry of the new firms, but that is only a temporary phenomenon. So if a new type of machine or process is developed, sometimes existing machinery of the firm becomes obsolete. The innovation theory does not give any solution to solve this problem. Now let us discuss about the famous surplus theory of profit by Karl Marx. Surplus theory of profits holds that the surplus value is the difference between price and the wages, that is labor value. It holds that all productive values and therefore sales value in any good comes only from the amount of labor used to produce it. It follows that labor is the only product and that capital and entrepreneurship are not. Labor is the only productive factor and capital and entrepreneurship are not. Surplus theory is also a residual theory of profits. According to Marx's theory, surplus value is equal to the new value created by the workers in excess of their own labor cost, which is appropriated by the capitalist as profit when the products are sold. A worker who is sufficiently productive can produce an output value greater than what it costs to hire him. Although his wage seems to be based on hours work in an economic sense, this wage does not reflect the full value of what the worker produces. Effectively, surplus value produced by the worker is not generated from the labor which the worker sells, but it is generated from his capacity to work. This is Marx's opinion. Now, what are the criticisms of surplus theory? Marx considered only two factors, labor and capital. Land and entrepreneur have been ignored in this theory. Secondly, the entrepreneur is considered to be the owner of capital. However, this is not always true. Entrepreneur and the owner of capital may be different persons. This possibility has not been considered in this theory. Now let us discuss about the marginal productivity theory of profit. Marginal productivity theory of profit by Chapman, Stigler, Stonier and Haig holds that profit is a wage payment to the entrepreneur based on their marginal revenue product, that is marginal productivity into price. According to this theory, profit always equals the marginal productivity of the entrepreneur. Now, marginal productivity of the entrepreneur cannot be evaluated in the case of the firm because there is only one entrepreneur in a firm. It, however, can be easily done in an industry where The number of firms can be calculated and hence the marginal productivity of various entrepreneurs as a whole in the industry can be measured. According to this theory, the profit depends upon the marginal productivity of the entrepreneur. Greater the marginal productivity of the entrepreneur, greater will be the profit. Now, what are the criticisms of marginal productivity theory of profit? It is impossible to calculate the marginal productivity of entrepreneur at a firm level. And profit is a reward of risk bearing. However, this factor has not been considered in this theory. The theory also ignores the contribution of innovation in profit. Qualities of entrepreneurs often vary. Each entrepreneur should be rewarded according to his own quality. It is not easy to find out such differences and give them their due profits if we calculate the total profit from the point of view of the industry as a whole, as the theory suggests. The theory also cannot explain the case of monopoly profit, since payments to the factors according to their marginal productivities are based on the assumption of perfect competition both in product market and in